What's up, everybody? Here with Off the Field special guest Alexis Davis. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Glad you can come on and share your experience. Just proud of everything you're doing right now too. So, getting into it, who is Alexis Davis?
I feel like that's such a good question. I definitely think between April and now, there's just so many different answers to it. Because I feel like recently I've really been trying to figure out who I am, what I want to do, um, and stuff like that. So I mean, I really think when it comes down to it, I really just like telling stories through sports. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's really the main thing. And just trying to figure out, what that looks like.
Mm. So, like, you're a perfect guest for this show. Like, you're building an amazing career off the field, and not just as an athlete. So, how did you start? Talk to us about your journey and how you got started into broadcasting.
Freshman year of college, I went to Florida A&M for college. When I was there was a basketball recruit. His name was MJ Randolph. We became super close friends. He was like the basketball recruit that FAMU was the most excited about. We became close friends, and always knew I wanted to write. At first, I thought I wanted to do public relations, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't really like the agency marketing side of things. So I was like, okay, let me just stick with public relations for a little bit. And then I wrote an article on MJ, the recruit or whatever. And just everything that went into that article, interviewing him, going through the sports information director to get it posted, contacting other sources, just the whole, everything that went into it. I was like, okay, I really like this. So that was once I did that one,
Mm-hmm.
um, it took a while for me to start doing other stuff, just trying to figure out, okay, where do I go from there and how to find stories and stuff like that. So once I did that first one, I was like, okay, I want to be in this realm, basically.
So, what was the next step you took after doing your first project?
Yeah, so after I did that, so I've always kind of like fashion too. So my next project after that, I did a story about thrifting and basically how everybody in our generation, we really like to thrift and stuff like that. But instead of just talking about thrifting, I was talking about kind of how there's a sustainability
Mm-hmm.
aspect to that, because instead of the fast fashion, it's like fashion over and having to reproduce clothes and stuff like that. When you're
Mm-hmm.
thrifting, you really are kind of making a contribution to the environment as well, because you're just reusing clothes, etc. So I did a story on that, so that was cool. It was a way for me to kind of okay, now I've checked off the sports box, now I've checked off the fashion box. So since then, it's just kind of just been trying to figure out how can I maintain the sports and the fashion, do that, kind of concurrently together.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. So I know you won the 2021 Disney Rodent Fellowship. I actually tried out for that job too, but ironically, they gave the position to another Alexis Davis. She actually says I was doing research. She says you're her mentor. So talk to me about the experience and all that.
Yeah, so the Rodent Fellowship has been really good. I think the main sure that you had time since you're a quarterback too. So that was the main
Mm-hmm.
concern that they had. They just wanted to make sure that, you know, you could still be the best athlete you could be and still
Mm-hmm.
dedicated to it. But I think honestly, for you, it was kind of a good thing you didn't end up doing it, because now instead of having to share a podcast platform with five other college students, now you have this. It's your own thing. You have who you want on there. You ask them whatever you want to. You don't got to go through all the checks and balances of ESPN and Disney. You literally this is your platform. So for you, I think it was good that you didn't end up doing it, because now it's you have this podcast and it's okay, this is my thing. I built it from the ground up. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
off. Nobody handed it to me or whatever. But that's a side note. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, so yeah, so the Rodent Fellowship is basically it's five or six HBCU students. ESPN picks them, and basically you write for Anscape. It used to be called the Undefeated. So
Mm-hmm.
you write for the page. You do social media at different games. They fly you to different events. Right now, Scott, he's a Rodent Fellow from Xavier. He just got back from All Star. So you really just get to go to a lot of different events. Write you have a podcast with the other fellows, social media. Just a lot of different things that you get to do. Really, just any facet of journalism, except for broadcasting, you pretty much get to do that. So for me, it was really what I guess you could say got me started, and what made me like really see that this is something that I can do. Because I feel like before it just was like, okay, I see these girls on TV, they on sideline. I see these girls, they're writing, they're at the open practices, they're at All Star, they're at the combine, they're doing all these things. I'm like, okay, how do I do this? And before I got the Rodent Fellowship, I had got denied for everything. So I'm just
Oh,
like,
really?
okay, it wasn't until my senior year that I finally had an internship. So I'm like, okay. So I'm starting to think like, all right, like, do I need to find something else to do? Like, do I need to get into the fashion bag a little bit more? Like, is this not what I'm supposed to be doing, etc. So, ended up, so usually Rodent Fellows, there's like 3 or 4 rounds. I ended up only having to do one interview, ended up getting it just based off that one interview. So that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was like the third person from ANC to get it. But yeah, I definitely think that that was like the catalyst to like me doing what I want to do. And now, ironically, William Roden, the one that the program is named after, he teaches at Arizona State where I'm at now. So it's kind of like a full circle thing.
Wow. Okay. Cool. 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 So, is the broadcasting world like a small circle, like it would be in the sports world?
Yes and no. I would say yes because people that I've encountered early on, I keep seeing them again. Like for instance, I've moved across the country and now Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Roden is still here. So I would say yes, definitely. Definitely the black broadcasting world, or just the black sports journalism world, writers. I would say that circle is really small, and that's why I think too. It's really important in sports journalism to just do a good job with everything that you do, because you just never know who knows who. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that, with him being a professor here, and then too with like the people that have done Rodent Fellows before. Like you're not always at that entry level writing position.
All right.
Eventually, you're editor, and now some people have their own outlets and stuff like that. So you don't want to be that person, even with the fellowship. Like with the Rodent Fellowship, oh, you don't want to be the one that's like, oh, Alexis never logged into the podcast on time, or we had pitch meetings. Alexis never had nothing to pitch, because now when everyone's at these different companies and you're looking to move around, they
Mm-hmm.
remember, like how it was when they worked with you.
Facts. Facts. So, like you said, right now you're in Arizona State. So, talk to me about the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and how did you even get to Arizona?
Yeah, it's different. Basically, so at A&T, definitely no knock to A&T at all. I still, would 1000% like recommend my HBCU to someone. But for me personally, it really checked off all the boxes as far as how to be a good sports writer, how to write newspaper articles, how to write feature stories, etc. And that's just from, I feel like that's what the teachers there focus on. And I really think that there needs to be more opportunities for students that want to do broadcasting like me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for me, I was like, okay, I know how to write and things like that, but I'm like, okay, I'm still not that strong on the broadcasting tips. I'm like, all right, I don't want to go out in the world. I don't want to graduate from A&T and get a writing job and not be happy. So I'm like, okay, what do I need to do between now and getting that broadcasting job to get better? So I'm like, okay, um, let's go to grad school. So for me, I was like, all right, Arizona State, University of Maryland, and Northwestern. Those were like my top three. So University of Maryland, ended up getting a full ride there too, but I just didn't want to stay at home in Maryland. I was like, I'm young, like let me go. Like I'm young, I don't have
Been there
kids.
all
Like,
your life.
yeah, I was like, let me just go. I was like, I don't want to be in Maryland. Even I could have stayed at my mom's house, no rent.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me a full ride. Then Northwestern, they had the Simmons Family Foundation scholarship. Ended up getting a full ride to Northwestern as well, but no stipend. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to pay Chicago rent? Like, I'm not about to just like, I don't want to be struggling. Then Arizona State came and they were like, okay, you can come here for free and we'll give you a stipend. So I'm like, okay, cool. Tuition check, rent check. Um, Arizona is beautiful literally every day except for 3 weeks in December. So
Right.
I'm all right, I'm about to go out there. And then when I started doing research about the school, I just was
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, like it's like its own little like TV network. Like we have
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so I guess just to go through some things like since I've been here. Um So one thing that makes Arizona State really good is they have the live stream app. So basically, what it is, so Pac-12 Network, they have all their games and stuff like that. But for the games that are not nationally televised, they put them on the app.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the play-by-play analysts and sideline people that they use for the app are Arizona State students. So
Oh
that
wow.
allowed me to get sideline reps, play-by-play reps, stuff like that. It would do play-by-play analyst for the girls basketball team. That's been really cool. I've done gymnastics sideline on the app, softball sideline. I'll do tennis play by play in a couple of weeks. I feel like that allows you to get real world experience,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you can put on your reel, stuff like that. And then also with the Super Bowl being here 2 weeks ago, was able to go to all the media day, interview Jalen Hurts, like just like be a part of like the media itself. So that's been really cool. And then also I think what's been one thing that's kind of like positioned me really well is just being in grad school. But then also there's another program called Rising Media Stars that was founded by LaChina Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a WNBA analyst, studio host, basically all of that. And she has a program where it's basically five girls, and she brings us to Atlanta a couple of times to do sideline. So she's allowed us to do Falcons sideline, Hawks. Um, in the summertime, we'll do some soccer. Um, yeah, and then we're getting ready to do some things. She hasn't completely gone into detail yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be the one to spoil it, but we're gonna do some stuff at the end of the month. So being able to have Arizona State and La China going on at the same time has like really
Mm-hmm.
been.
That's all right. That's hard. So I gotta go back. You mentioned Jalen Hurts. I'm an Eagles fan, so he was at the Super Bowl. So how was that whole experience and everything for you? Was
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was one of the reasons also why I picked Arizona State because I knew the Super Bowl was going to be here. Even though, so I live in downtown Phoenix. Super
mm-hmm.
Bowl was in Glendale. So even though Phoenix was the official host city, the actual Super Bowl game itself was in
Mm-hmm.
Glendale, which is about 30 minutes from here. But no, it was really cool. On Monday they had this thing called opening night. There was at Footprint Center, which is where the Suns play, and literally like all the star players will have their own podiums, and you
Mm-hmm.
just walk up to them and you just ask them questions. Like it's literally like you literally just walk up and ask them questions. And for the ones that don't have a podium, literally the other 42 guys are literally just walking around Footprint, and you literally just go up to them and you just start talking. So that was something that was kind of like, I definitely don't. There's only like very few people that I still get like starstruck about, and I still
Mm-hmm.
haven't like met those people yet. But just to see them just like walking around just regular, it just was like, wow, like where am I? So that was Monday. Tuesday, so since Fox had the broadcasting rights to the Super Bowl, they had their own meet and greet with the broadcasters. So I got to meet some of the sideline people that were going to be doing sideline for Fox, Christina Pink, Aaron Andrews, and then they have Michael Vick as an analyst this year. Got to ask Michael Vick some questions because he has his own history with Andy Reid.
Right.
So that was really cool. Just basically asking him, of course, the theme. There was basically like two running themes this year was two black quarterbacks and then also Travis and Jason facing each other. So just being able to ask Michael Vick, like, what is it about the Eagles organization that makes it a place that a black quarterback can thrive? So being able to hear his answers for that.
Mm.
And
What did he say about that? I don't know what he said about that.
so basically, he was saying that, of course, he's a black man, but you got to put the color thing aside for a second. Like, in order
Mm.
for a quarterback to really thrive, he has to have support materials. You can't just throw him in the mix and expect him to make these plays because, yeah, he could throw it, but are your receivers catching the ball? Does he feel like the coaches trusted him to call the right play? Because you're not always going to be in that position where you can call that timeout, go talk to Nick or Andy and be like, hey, what do you want me to do? Sometimes you don't have any timeouts left, and it's like, okay, as a quarterback, do I feel like my coach trusted me to make this play? Just it's a lot of different elements that he was saying really go into that, and then it was some things, of course, he was saying that he didn't want to say about Andy Sauce or whatever. So either way, I definitely feel like he answered the question, and then just talking to Christina Pink and Aaron Andrews, because me, someone that wants to do sideline, I noticed that a lot of they don't wear gray, black, navy suits, black dresses anymore. They're wearing colors. They're
Wow.
wearing they're wearing colors, they're wearing boots, they're getting blonde highlights, like they're doing whatever they want. So just kind of talk, because both of them have been doing it for over 15, 20 years. So just talking to them about how they feel comfortable wearing certain stuff. I know, like for me, especially when I go to Atlanta with China, like I like to wear colors and stuff like that. Still look professional, but I like to wear colors. Not really big, black, gray, navy type of person, So,
Mm-hmm.
just talking to them about that. Wednesday and Thursday, the teams had media availability in their hotels. So
Oh wow.
basically, yeah. So basically, I guess I can say this now because it's over. But so basically, the Chiefs were in Scottsdale, Arizona, and the Eagles were in Phoenix, Arizona, and they both stayed on ranches.
Mm-hmm.
So, but just getting there was crazy because, like, so I was taking an Uber there, and
Mm-hmm.
basically, like, 2 miles out, like, they literally, like, you pull up in your Uber, you got to roll all the windows down. They have dogs come around and check the whole car. You got to show your
Hey,
credential. They scan it, like, it's serious. So,
dang.
yeah, so that was, like, something really different for me. And I think a part of it, too, was even though doing the media and the players and stuff, it was exciting to talk to the players. Another thing was, like, seeing these broadcasters that I always see on TV because they're in there asking questions with me or whatever. And even,
Mm-hmm.
one of the, it's not really at the top of my list anymore, but Bleacher Report used to really be at the top of my list. So seeing the guys that make the Bleacher Report content in the media thing with me. So I think it was kind of like a 50-50 thing. It was like 50%, wow, I get to meet the players. And the other 50% was like, wow, anybody who's actually good at their job in sports is here covering this team as well. So it's kind of like, both. So yeah, it was a really cool experience.
That's hard. So, what excites you about journalism?
Yeah, I think it's just, well, one, I like talking to people. I like meeting
Mm-hmm.
people. And I think for me, like just yesterday, I spent 6 hours with our girls basketball team doing their team bonding activity with them, interviewing the coach, interviewing some players, staying with them, filming some practice. Um, I don't know. It's just like, well, it's like two parts. It's like one of it is just like being in the gym, like being in the basketball practice gym, like it didn't even feel like 3 hours, just being there, being around them, seeing their interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Since I've been covering the team for months now they're familiar with me, they talk to me. So just, I don't know, it's just something about the basketball gym environment. It just seems like just really like homey for me, like just really like a home environment. I really love being there. That's why I feel like I honestly would be okay after school moving anywhere because I feel like as long as I have my house and decorated to my liking, and I have a basketball gym that I can go to of a team that I'm covering. I feel like as long as I have those two things, I feel pretty okay with moving wherever. So I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
part of that, and I think also just being able to, of course, there's a certain template with how you have to write things. You have to make sure you have, more than just one source. You got to make sure you're using proper AP style, you're writing correctly, and your delivery is good. But there is also a certain kind of freedom to it because it's like if I were to interview you and someone else were to interview you, we ask you the same questions. Same
Mm-hmm.
questions. We both do the same background material. Me and the other person are not going to write the same story. So I
All right.
think that's it too. And then, and you can even use the Super Bowl as an example. They gave out over 6,000 media passes, and out of those 6,000 people, nobody wrote the same story about, it was same game, same amount
Mm-hmm.
of touchdowns, same amount of rushing yards, whatever. But each one of those people, wrote a different story. So I think just kind of being able to add your unique spin and stuff too.
Mm. And so, you've been on a long journey, an amazing journey so far, and you just started. What have you learned throughout your journey for journalism so far?
Um, I think just being okay with things not going on my timing. There's been a lot of stuff that I'm like, dang, I should have that, or dang, I should be able to do this, or why didn't I get this internship? Because just like with Rodent Fellows, that was my third time applying, didn't get into my
Mm.
third try. And then I felt like if I would have got the Rodent Fellowship when I was a sophomore or junior, I definitely would not have been ready for it because with the Rodent Fellowship, it's a certain kind of maturity that you have to have because like they literally are flying you to all these different events with the ESPN name badge. Like you can't be out there just acting like a kid. You can't be
Right.
taking selfies with athletes. Like you have to have some type of like structure and decorum in order to handle those things. You know, getting up, getting to your flight on time, getting to the media stuff on time, knowing what to ask, what to dress, you know, not trying to stand out, blending in. So it's a lot of like maturity that comes along with that. And I definitely think that me being a sophomore, going through transferring from FAMU to A&T, and then on top of that to add the layer of an ESPN internship, that just would have been too much. But you know, looking at that now, I never would have felt like that then. It just was like, damn, like, why are they not picking me year after year? But I definitely think that my senior year was the best time for me to have that fellowship. So just being okay with things happen when they happen. And then even, you know, I feel like, of course, you know, with social media, everybody posts when they get stuff. But it's like for me, this semester, I really wanted to intern at NBC Sports. Made it through all 3, 4 round interviews or whatever. I did end up getting picked. But then when NBC came here for the Super Bowl, somebody
Mm-hmm.
reached out from NBC from NBC Sports for me to write an article for their website and for me to host a panel. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it was like I would have never been able to host a panel if I was in the interview. I mean, if I was in the intern position, because that's not what they do. They just write breaking daily news. So, you know, I was really upset for probably like 2 or 3 weeks that I didn't get that internship. And then fast forward 2 months later, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to work with them in a broadcast role, which is more desirable, you know, than, you know, me writing. I want to, you know, speak and host and stuff like that. So being able to, one, get denied for that role, but then to come back, you know, for them to double back and end up having it be something that's more in the broadcast realm. So just, yeah, I guess, yeah, this is to answer the question, being okay with things not happening exactly when I want them to happen.
Mm. That's crazy you said that because I had another guest on here, Krista Dior, and she was just saying like how you need to fall in love with the process and like say something doesn't go your way, just trust and believe in God that another door is going to open. That wasn't the right opportunity for you to just stick it through your process and stick it through your grind and don't
Yeah.
get discouraged just something doesn't go your way at the time because God's just building something up for something better, just like you said.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Mm. So you've been around a lot of athletes from all levels. What are some life skills off the field that you think they can improve on?
I would say two things. I would say one, making sure to not take for granted where they are. Because I know for me, you know, I took for granted being at A&T around a whole bunch of thriving Black people. Because once I came out here, it's
Mm-hmm.
just me and less than a handful of other Black students in my program. It's like it's only four
Mm.
others. So you know, so just taking. I wish I would have really been like, you know, because when you're an undergrad, you're like, I can't wait to get out of here. I can't wait to get a job. I can't wait to get an apartment. I can't wait
Right.
to buy this BMW truck. I want this dog. I want this loft. I want this. I'm ready to get out of here. Like, where's the check? Cut the check. Blah blah blah. So,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm like, you know, I don't have my line sisters. Like, there's no Black people. Like, of course, the experiences make up for it, but it's just like shit.
Right.
Where so yeah, I think one thing that they could do is just really be appreciative for the time that they have on the court or the field, because you know you
Mm-hmm.
never know anything. You get injured at any point. You know, you could stop getting played. You could like
Mm-hmm.
stop getting playing time at any point. Like, so just really being appreciative of every time they get to go to practice, every time, you know, even if that 5 o'clock lift is not desirable, but just thanking God that my body is physically able to do this. And just, you know, especially for the ones that have scholarships, there's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of of high school seniors that want to play at that next
Mm-hmm.
level. And 9 times out of 10, they don't get that chance. So I think just really I think they should really just be appreciative of the opportunities that they get, even if they aren't, you know, let's say they are third string or whatever, but just being thankful, being there for one. And I also think I've kind of seen with NIL they're doing this a little bit more, but figuring out who they are outside the sport. Because when
Mm-hmm.
you're getting, especially if you have parents that are overly involved, you're
Mm-hmm.
getting up in the morning, you're working out, you're going to school, then you're having team practice, then you're having AAU practice, and you're coming home and you're doing homework and you're doing the same. So all at that point, your identity is I'm a football player. I know nothing else outside of football. Even on
Mm-hmm.
Sunday on my rest day, I'm watching football. You know, if
Right.
I'm not watching football, I'm playing Madden. So just knowing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, who they are outside of the sport, I think is really important, and just getting those other interests. Just like for you, like, you know, you play football, but you have a podcast, or just, you know, just something like, do you like to cook,
Right.
like trying a new recipe or something, like if you're
Mm-hmm.
into fashion, like, you know, putting some outfits together, window shop, just something that's
Find
not. affiliated with the sport. Yeah.
Right. Actually finding who you are outside the sport, because at the end of the day, the ball goes flat for everybody. So it's like,
Yeah.
what's next for sure.
Yeah, and
So,
even if like you get that opportunity to go pro, you
mhm,
know, you wanna have other interests that you can invest in. So let's say like I end up playing pro basketball or something, but I'm interested in helping other girls get to that next level. So whether that means I do a clinic or a summer camp or just something that I can invest my money into that's
mhm,
not sneakers or a chain.
right,
Yeah.
facts. So, how is it being a female broadcaster in the sports world? Do you feel like you get the same level of respect as a male over a female? Or how is that?
I think I've kind of gotten over it. I did notice that when I first started going to press conferences or interviewing coaches or players and stuff, um, I used to feel the need to like. So let's say I'm asking, I don't know, let's say I'm asking Candace Parker about something in the game. I would
Hmm.
feel the need to break down the whole play before I even ask the question, just to prove to everyone else in the room that I understand basketball instead of just asking my question as if there's not 20 other people here that want to ask questions. So I definitely think that the need to prove myself is definitely gone. Like I used to feel like I had to prove in basketball settings. I used to have to prove to people that I understand basketball and I know what's going on and I'm not just here just to, get my makeup and hair done and go on TV. Like I actually know what's going on. I understand it and I know why things are happening the way that they're happening. I think I've kind of become more comfortable with that, but it definitely wasn't always like that. I used to always feel the need to just prove to everybody in the room that I understand said sport that I'm covering. So I think that's gotten better.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I haven't really been, luckily due to people that had, come before me in this industry, I don't really feel, alienated or on the outside. Of
Hmm.
course, I'm gonna have to work harder if I want to do, play by play for the NBA or if I want to be on the men's side of things.
Hmm.
Of course, I feel like I'm gonna have to be that much better. But as far as difficulties, not really. I feel
Hmm.
like not everyone can say that because I definitely do have when you're in the industry, there's a lot of you make friends. You start seeing the
Hmm.
same girls at conferences. You might have, and I know there's a bunch of girls that I follow on social media and they follow me and we don't know each other, but we notice that we're both working hard in the field and we might comment on each other's stuff just because we do the same thing. But there's so many girls
Hmm.
that I comment on their stuff, they comment on mine. I've never even met them in person. But, the fact that we're all trying to go that same direction, it's like, it's been helpful.
That's good. Let's talk about the transition from college broadcasting and now going out to the real world and broadcasting, like ESPN is like the big thing that you've been doing. Was there any surprises or anything you might have not been prepared for at the time?
Um, I feel like with journalism, like they can teach you in class how to write. They can teach you in class, what to do, what not to do, take quizzes, take tests. But with journalism, you really just got to go out and do it. Like I
Mm,
don't think anything like for me, I so the our women's basketball team has a new coach, Coach Natasha Adair,
mm,
and I got to be the analyst for her first game against Northern Arizona.
mm,
That was their first game of the season. I did analyst, and then someone else that's in grad school here named Jordy did play by play, and nothing could have prepared me for that.
mm,
Of course, reading about the team, reading about her. There's only one returner. There's X amount of transfers. The old coach did this, etc. But nothing really prepares you until you're really in that moment. So I really think the main thing with sports journalism is just reps, and
mm,
even doing reps with sports that I don't want to cover. Like for instance, recently the opportunity has came about for me to do softball and baseball sideline. I've
mhm.
only been to one baseball game, but I'm not going to turn the opportunity down because it's like it's a chance for me to get better. And I
Right.
think too, one thing with sports journalism too is realizing that no opportunity is too small. Like recently, I've been doing play by play for high school basketball playoff games. I'm like, I don't want to
Mm,
do this. Like it's high school, like they're like 15, like nobody's watching this, blah blah blah. But at the
right.
same time, it's like that's just one chance for me to get better at calling the game. So I think that's a part of it too.
Like that, just getting repetition because
Hmm.
say it's like 15,000 hours or something crazy for somebody to perfect their craft. So
Hmm.
especially when times you don't want to do it, and it's like that's what's going to make you better and separate yourself.
Yep.
How important is it for you or anyone to build their personal brand? And are you building your brand at the time right now? What are you doing for that?
Yeah, I definitely think that. I don't know if it's just because I'm in the field right now, but it seems like everybody wants to be a sports broadcaster. I don't know. I don't know if it's just because that's who I follow or that's how my algorithms are populated on the
Mhm.
platforms that I look at, or if that's just really real life. I don't know. But I feel like it's really important too because I mean, there's thousands and thousands of girls that want to be on the sideline, thousands of girls that want to do analysts, etc. So I think it's really important to build your brand and know who you are. One, because when you know who you are and when you are better in touch with who you are,
Mhm.
it's easy to pitch yourself to other people
Mhm.
to say, hey, you should hire me because this, and this. But you can only say that if you really know who you are. And I definitely think that it's important to have a brand because, for instance, like there for the team reporter job, like let's say, so there's a team reporter, and then there's also a reporter that covers a team for an outlet. Like so, for instance, let me try to think of an example. So the Arizona Republic is a newspaper here. So the
Mhm.
Arizona Republic has a Cardinals reporter that writes stories about the Cardinals even in the off season, just all the time. About twice a week, they write something about the Cardinals for the Arizona Republic. But
Mhm.
then there's also a Cardinals reporter that actually works internally for the Cardinals team. So there's a Cardinals reporter that posts stuff to the Cardinals website, does YouTube videos with the players, Kyler Murray, blah blah blah. Okay, so for that team reporter job, they want someone that can write. They want someone that has a strong social media following. They want someone that can make YouTube videos. They want someone that knows what's trending on TikTok. Like they want you to know all those. They want you to know how to sell tickets to games. Like they want you to know all that stuff. Versus someone who only sounds good on camera or
Mhm.
only knows how to write. That person that knows how to do all six of those other things, that's someone that the team is going to want to hire. So I
Mhm.
think just being able to market yourself, not oversaturating it, but saying like, hey, I know how to do this, and this. I don't just know how to talk, X's and O's on TV.
Right.
Um, so I think that's one thing. I think that's been working in my favor since I've had so many different experiences.
Mhm.
Um, Being able to do those different things. And I definitely think, as far as branding, since I'll be looking for like a full time job, I'm looking to have a full time by September.
Mhm.
'Cause I'll be done with grad school in August. But yeah, I would say I'm still building my brand. I
Mhm.
think my main thing is being able to vocalize to people that I can do different stuff, and then also, you know, showing people that the fashion side too that I'm really into. So just trying to figure out how to kind of intertwine those things so that it can be a clear message to, said employer.
Mm. I like that. So now we get into the hot seat questions of the interview. First question: favorite place you've been for journalism?
Favorite place? Um, mm, I would say the Hawks game that I did, the Hawks and Raptors game that I did in November. Um, yeah, 'cause that was my first time getting like real access to NBA.
Mhm. Longest drive you ever been on?
Longest drive.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I went on a college tour to see FAMU. So we stopped at other schools, going from Maryland to Florida. We stopped at other schools, but going back from Florida to Maryland,
Mm.
we didn't stop at all. So we went to that home. We drove from Orlando in
Mm-hmm.
Florida all the way to the Home Depot off of Central Ave.
That's like 14-hour drive, right?
Yeah.
And and then favorite snack.
Favorite snack?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like popcorn.
Popcorn. Favorite fruit.
Favorite fruit? I like watermelon and mangoes.
Nigga. Who can make you starstruck?
Starstruck?
Yeah.
LeBron. Yeah,
Uh,
LeBron. Yeah.
something that you're obsessed with right now.
Obsessed with right now. I would say clothes and makeup.
Clothes and makeup. All right, that's it for the hot seat questions. All the guys out there that's looking for a girl, she said she like popcorn, watermelon, and shopping. So y'all know, y'all know.
If I say I wouldn't come over here if I was them.
Yeah, all right. She said
I,
stay away.
yeah, no, I am happily in a situation. So
Okay.
yeah, happily with my boyfriend. So
Okay. She says she off limits. I appreciate you for coming on the show today. Anything you want to say to your fans or anybody that's watching this video?
no, not really. Just to kind of just keep trying, keep at it, keep trying. Especially just based off the things that I've said, some of my biggest opportunities have come on that second and third try. So really just keep trying. Yeah. And it's okay if in this moment right now you don't know exactly what you want to do career wise. Like, that's okay.
Okay. I appreciate you for coming on again.
Yes, no problem. This was fun.
Hey, hold up. Fred made this?